Good morning. Welcome back to Crochet with Lulu. Today we're going to try something a little different. We have done the tutorial on the granny square. We are going to do a granny rectangle today. These are great if you want to keep adding to the rounds, or should I say to the square, to the rectangle, and make a blanket or a pillow cover, a table runner, or a simple mug rug. So let's get started. We've started with our slip knot. I'm gonna try to get this camera angle just right today. So we chain 10. Now this is different from your traditional granny square, which we start in the round. This we automatically start in the rectangle. So it's a little different mindset. So we skip to the third chain from the hook, and then we start in the fourth chain, and we put our traditional granny square corner. So that first chain 3 that we skipped over counted as our first double crochet. We do 2 more double crochet. You want to kind of pinch that and hold it tight so that it does not stretch out of proportion. So we have our first part of our corner, we chain 2, and we finish up our corner the same as a traditional granny square corner. And let me grab some yarn. I've kind of repositioned some things here and I didn't have a hold of my yarn. So okay, we have what appears to be our first part of a corner. So we chain 1, as with any granny cluster along the side, we chain 1. So we skip 2 chains and we go into that third chain and we put a side, which is a traditional granny cluster of 3. Now again, try to pinch that just so it doesn't stretch so big. These are so cute when they're worked up. And then after every cluster on the side, we put a chain 1. Now our next corner is going to change from what we've done up here because we've still not made it all the way around yet. We are going to work around and go back up the side and finish this corner. But first we have to create this corner. So we've done our chain 1. We go back into that last loop that is actually the first chain that we started. And we do a traditional granny square corner. So we've got 1, 2, and it's going to be hard to kind of work around that tail. 3. Now here's where it gets a little different. We chain 2, and we're going to go back in that same space and put 3 more double crochets. Don't jump ahead because you'll leave a very important set of stitches out. Because in this traditional granny square corner, it just changed. We chain 2 and we put yet 1 more cluster in, and that starts our other side of our corner that will start us back down the rectangle. Make sure you count your stitches we have 3, chain 2, 3, chain 2, and then 3. Then we're going to chain 1. Now we're going to come back down the side, and with any traditional granny square, we have to work in the side. So we go right back into that space right there under those clusters, and we're going to put another set of 3. Can you see it kind of start taking shape? Some of the stitches are the same. It's just we're adding length to it. We chained 1. So we've got to finish out this corner up here, because remember, we have 3, chain 2, 3, chain 2, 3. So up here we've only got 3, chain 2, 3. So we've got to go back into this space right here, and we've got to put 3 more double crochet in. And then we do our chain 2, join to a slip stitch at the top of that 3rd chain. Now, I'm going to slip stitch to this corner just to give me a little bit of wiggle room. And then I'm going to pull my thread out, and I'm going to change a color. Because remember, we like granny squares multicolored. So just kind of pull your stitches out, play with them a little bit, and it's going to want to kind of twist and turn. But do you see that taking shape? I'm going to lay this here and grab my other color. I think I want to go with a bright yellow. So I'm going to come in here, and I don't want to come back into this corner, because at this point, until I weave in this end, I've kind of left it vulnerable. So I'm going to stick my needle, my hook in there. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to bring this tail to the front, and I'm going to chain 1. Then I'm going to do 2 more chains, and then we're going to start our granny clusters. We go back in there, and in a traditional granny square corner, remember, we do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Now we're going to chain 1 to jump over to this corner. So we go over to this corner, and we do another corner. Right now you're doing a traditional granny square corner, but you're working in the rectangle. So we can't leave a corner out because it would be loblollied. We don't want loblollied. We want a pretty rectangle. And then we go back and collect our stitches. We chain 1, and then we've got a space. So we fill in this space with 3 double crochet, chain 1. Okay, then we've got a space. So we've got to go here, and we've got to fill in that space with another set of 3 double crochet. So do you see your repetitions now? chain 1. We've got to go back up into this corner because we can't leave our corners out. We do 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet because we are in a corner. Gonna pull some yarn. And it kind of curled, so what you want to do is after every row, you kind of want to pull this out to make it look right. So we're hopping over to this next corner. Now we can work over part of this tail, so that's what we're going to do on that one. Chain 2, 3 double crochet because we're in the corner. And then we chain 1. Then we come to our space. We do 3 double crochet. Chain 1, and then we have one more space. Chain 1, and then we're going to join to the top of this 3rd chain in our corner. Now again, I'm going to slip stitch to get me back to that corner because I don't want to start in the middle of a stitch. So I'm going to slip stitch into that stitch if it will allow me to. Some of them can be little stinkers. Okay, now I'm going to cut my thread. And I'm going to pull up my red. Now at this point, again, you're going to want to take it and pull your corners and your sides. You're going to pull up these stitches just to kind of make it a little even. I'm going to go ahead and snip Mr. Green. Now, I'm going to grab yet another color. I'm going to go with red because we like color on our granny squares, so we're going to like them just as much on our granny rectangles. Now, I'm going to start down here this time. See, it's starting to take effect. So it's important after every row, even if you don't do a color change, to go ahead and pull your stitches out so that they look good. Okay, so we're going to start in this corner this time. Well, if I can get a hold of the thread correctly. Okay, again, I'm going to bring that tail right around and drop it. I'm going to chain 3. Counts as our first double crochet. We're in a traditional granny square corner, but we're in the rectangle. So we're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. I absolutely love these. And I don't know what it is about them, but it reminds me of a football field. Don't ask me why. I can't explain it, but it does. It reminds me of a football field. Now I'm going to drop that tail and forget it, because I'm not going to try to go over it here, because it's going to show up through the stitches and it's going to work out. So at the end you can weave in your tails and be done with them. Okay, let me go back and show you. We do chain 1 because we're on a side. In the corners we do chain 2. Now we have more, we're in row 3, so we have three spaces down our side. So we fill our spaces with 3 double crochet, let me pull me some yarn off here. I grabbed my yarn at the wrong spot. I like to work out of the middle part of the yarn, and it's easier to pull out. But on this one, for some reason, I grabbed and I'm working in the round on it. So we need 1 more double crochet. As with your sides, we chain 1. We've got another space to fill, so we go into that space. We chain 1. We go into this space. Kind of keep your stitches a little tight so that they don't bulk up. We chain 1. Now we're skipping over to this corner. And as with any granny corner, we do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Chain 1, because now at the top and the bottom we have a space that we're going to work over. So we have to fill this space with 3 double crochet, just like on the sides. Chain 1, because we're not yet to the corner, and then we go into our corner and we do 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, and let me pull my thread one more time here. That will teach me a lesson, won't it? Pulling it out the center is so much easier than trying to flip over a skein of yarn. Okay, so we need to put 2 more double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochets. Excuse me. I think my mind is still sleeping this morning. I had sort of a restless night. Okay, now we're fixing to go to the side, so we chain 1. Now our sides have 3 spaces. Remember that on this round. So we chained our 1. We're going to go into this one. Chain 3. I'm sorry, 3 double crochets, then chain 1, go to your next space, 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 more double crochets, chain 1, and then we've got our corner. Three double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Then we chain 1 because we still have our top space. So do you see how we do this? Now we chain 1 and we go to the third of the top chain. 1, 2, 3. And we slip stitch. Now because I'm in that stitch, I want to be in that one. So I'm going to pull up and I'm going to snip my thread. Now, if you were going larger and you wanted to grab your other color, your next color, find a space, preferably in the corner, and just hook your I'll go ahead and start you on the green again, and then so I don't want to start in this corner. So I'm going to go right back up here to this corner and I'm going to pull through. And remember, just bring your tail back over to the front so it doesn't get in your way. Chain 3 and then come back in that corner and do your traditional granny cluster corner. 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Now do you see your rectangle growing? Now at the top and the bottom on this round, you're going to have 2 spaces. So you come over here and you feel, I'm going to drop the tail back here. Three double crochet. And remember, on the top and the bottom of your rectangle, where you fill in these spaces, you're only going to do a chain 1 between the spaces. Chain 1, and then we're back in the corner. And you really want to work out these corners and spaces when you change your colors or when you start a new row. If you're not changing colors, after every row, go back and pull out all the corners and all the sides to make it lay flat. That's very important on this because you are working with a longer pattern here. We chained one, we're going to go into this space. The more colors you use, the prettier your pattern will be. Now what would be pretty now is instead of going back and picking up the yellow like I done in row number 2, I've done green, and if I had my blue here, I would go ahead and work in the blue row. Unfortunately, I didn't think that far ahead, and I didn't grab my blue skein out of my tote. Now we're back in the corner, so 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So it's getting larger and longer. Your football field is growing. I don't know why I thought that, but the very first time I saw the granny rectangle, I thought that looks just like a football field. But the more colors you use, the prettier these are. You can use a solid color and it's pretty. But to me, the color change just gives it that pop, and it just makes it so pretty. We're back in the corner. I'm going to finish this row with you, and then I'm going to let you work on it. Remember, you start out with your chain of 10, count back to the 4th chain, go into that 4th chain and do your first corner. And then you're going to come down and do a side. At your next chain 3, and then the very last chain on your hook, you're going to come down and do your first top granny 3 after you do your corner. So one corner looks a little different when you finish it until you get back to the top, and then it makes sense. Just about to the end of this row. I hope you'll have fun with these. These make wonderful mug rugs. And then if you want to add fringe at the end, you can. Or if you want to keep going and make a pillow cover, a table runner, placemat. Okay, I'm going to snip my color. Now I'm not going to weave in the ends because by now you have gotten used to me leaving my tails out. So there we go. There is your first official granny rectangle. Now, I hope you've had fun working this with me. You just want to kind of pull it out. And when you pull the sides out, be sure and pull the top corners out. And just keep working with it. Weave in your tails. Right now we've got several tails to weave in. And when you snip, be sure and don't pull that, like don't pull that and then snip it. Kind of work that back just a little bit before you snip it, because it will work out. But I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial. I have been trying to decide after the bookmark what a good tutorial would be, and I thought the granny rectangle. We've done the granny squares, and we're going to do a granny rectangle. Now, you could have stopped at row number 2, which would have been the green and the yellow, and you could have made a bookmark. So it's your option. It's your granny rectangle, just like the granny squares. Add color, leave it a solid color. The more color, you see how pretty. To me, that looks like flowers in a garden. I love color. So you could keep building, and like I said, this is a pillow that I have on my lap to kind of bring it up a little closer to the camera. You could make a pillow cover, a table runner, placemat, a mug rug. So enjoy. I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial. Please like and subscribe and share my channel, share my videos, and slow this down and rewatch it as many times as you need to work out your granny rectangle. And enjoy and have a wonderful rest of the weekend. It's Saturday morning here. Whew, I've done jumped ahead to Saturday evening. My mind is still resting. So have a good weekend. Love and peace, and be kind to everybody. Bye-bye.